Let's go.
Thank you for tuning in to CC's Political Corner. I am your host, Captivating Christian, and the trio set free after being wrongfully jailed for 36 years. 3 men falsely convicted of murder in Maryland had been set free after 36 years in prison. Alfred Chestnut, Andrew Stewart, and Ramton Watkins had been sentenced to life in 1984 for killing a 14-year-old boy earlier that year. They were freed on Monday after a judge cleared their conviction following the review of their case. The case was reopened this year after Mr. Chestnut sent a letter to the Baltimore Conviction Integrity Unit. He included evidence that he had uncovered last year. Mr. Chestnut, Mr. Stewart, and Mr. Watkins were arrested as teenagers in November of 1983 following the death of DeWitt Dunkett, who was shot in the neck on his way to class at a Baltimore junior high school and had his Georgetown University jacket stolen. DeWitt's death received widespread coverage. It was the first fatal shooting of a student in a Baltimore public school. The 3 men were convicted as children because the police and the prosecutorial misconduct of the Baltimore State Attorney Marla Mosby said after the men were released. In a statement, her office said detectives targeted the 3 men, all 16-year-old black boys, using coaching, coercing, and other teenage witnesses to make their case. The prosecutor said during the initial interrogation, police ignored and withheld reports from multiple witnesses identifying another person as the killer, and the trial witnesses failed to identify the 3 teenagers in a photo lineup. All trial witnesses have now recanted evidence, Ms. Mosby said. I do not think that today is a victory. It's a tragedy, and we need to own up to our responsibility for it, she said. Case documents have been sealed by a judge, but Mr. Chestnut obtained from last year with a public record request. He had gotten a public record request and received the records that were supposed to have been sealed. I guess that they was trying to say. At the press conference, Mr. Watkins said, "This should have never happened. This fight is not over," he said. "You will hear from us again." Ms. Mosby announced the launch of a program, the Restoration After Exoneration, to provide services to help exonerated people regenerate into society, including support for education and mental and physical health. She said the state of Maryland did not have legislation that guided compensation for these falsely convicted of a crime, and that she would work to change that. Currently, the Board of Public Works has the authority to direct compensation. In October, the board awarded about $9 million in payments to 5 men who were wrongly imprisoned for decades. Walter Lomack, who served 38 years for murder, received about $3 million, which was the largest payout ever made by the state for a wrongly convicted person. And this is all. This is the end of that article. Again, 3 men were released from jail after serving 36 years for wrongly accused murder. The person that actually committed the murder, the actual suspect, has since died. He died in 2002. This all brings to light, there's a film on Netflix directed by Ava DuVernay called The Way They See Us. And I think that has brought to light a lot of unjust convictions of young black men at the time who are now, older adults, and reviewing their cases. So if you haven't seen that, I do suggest that you get your Netflix and review The Way They See Us. But this, again, is another case of wrongly accused young teenagers spending their lifetime or their young lives in jail for a crime that they did not commit. So again, hey, we have to always remember that if we want change, we have to be the change that we want to see. I thank you for listening. And again, have a good day. I'm out. Peace.